So, welcome back to the final episode of How to Understand Exposure. We've looked at shutter speed and aperture, as well as what exposure is, without using any technical jargon or language. Hello again, welcome back to Complete Communication Sweden. My name's Jesse. Let's get stuck in. So for the final part of the series, we're going to look at ISO, which is what we're doing is we're changing the sensitivity of the sensor. So we're sticking with one aperture, one speed, but we can still control the amount of light, increase or decrease the amount of light coming into the image. And the way to think of ISO is, instead of thinking about time or size of the aperture or how long you're exposing, you can increase the sensitivity, which means that the more sensitive the sensor, the less light required in order for it to be happy that you fill the glass. A good example of that would be like a nighttime shot of the stars. You've got low light, you don't want to wait for 4 hours for the image to expose. So there is another way of controlling, not by speed or by physical size, and that's ISO sensitivity. Think of it like this. Here's your glass that you need to fill. But one way to speed up the light sensitivity of your ISO is to have a glass that's thinner. So you can increase sensitivity or decrease sensitivity, and this changes the amount of light and time and exposure and aperture, all those combined, by increasing or decreasing your ISO rating on your camera. So in ordinary circumstances, you might be on ISO 100, a normal ISO rating, but for whatever reason it's just too dark and you can't get the perfect exposure, say, without things moving or blurring in the background, then what you might do is increase your sensitivity, which means you need less light in order to achieve a full glass. And then you would change the sensitivity to this, and then if you imagine you made it even thinner, then you would be increasing the ISO rating once again. Because remember, our job as photographers is to fill the glass. So it's how much water do I need to fill the glass without it being too little or too much spilling over. So ISO is another way of doing that. And so there we have it. ISO, aperture, shutter speed. Those are the three controls that you, as a photographer, need to know in order to understand how to fill the glass. Sometimes you might need a low light situation, you need a big aperture, very little light in order to fill the glass. Other times it might be ordinary circumstances in the middle of the day, outside, and you don't need a lot of light sensitivity, and you don't need to change the aperture too much in order to fill the glass. Those are the three things that we can do as a photographer to control the amount of light coming into the camera in order to get the right exposure. Not too much, not too little light. Fill your glass and you've got a perfect image. So in some circumstances, you'll need to change the ISO in order to help you get a good exposure. Other times you can just change the aperture, and vice versa. Sometimes you can do a slower speed in order to let more light into your camera, and other times you can't do that. So you have to change the ISO or the aperture to change it that way. So although other people will talk about exposure triangle and how they relate, I think it's much better to separate the three concepts into speed, aperture, sensitivity in order to achieve your ultimate photo. So good luck, go out there, start taking photos, practice, and now that you know how to use all three, you'll be much more confident having lots of options to go out there and take better photos. Good luck. So thanks for watching my channel. If you enjoyed the series, make sure to subscribe for tips, tricks, secrets, and tutorials. Or better yet, share this with your friends. See you on the next video. Bye.